Hello and welcome to Tokyo Inklings. My name is CY, and you can find me on my website at tokyostationpens.com and on Instagram at tokyostationpens, and additionally on Twitter at tokyostationmnh.
And my name is Jacob, and I'm Foodafan on Instagram and on Twitter, and I have a blog at foodafan.com.
Hello, my name is Khuê, and you can find me on Instagram at miraikat.
All right, so always really glad to talk to both of you. And today I'm actually on location at Khuê's house. So this is very exciting because it's the first time that we are seeing each other after a few months, actually, even though we live maybe, 20 minutes away by foot. So it's always really good to see you, Khuê. Thank you for joining us again.
With pleasure.
And today we want to talk about something that will really be your expertise, but we'll get onto that later. Before we do that, what are we writing with, and what did we acquire in our quarantine days?
Right. So last time we talked about this new Moonmen T1 model in brass, and see why both you and I like this pen. It's a well-made piston filler, it looks great, the feed is surprisingly wet, and overall the pen is a good value, right? So both of us ordered more of them, so I think between the two of us we might have a dozen of them now.
Yeah, so I got two in the first round, I sold one, and then I got 5 in the second round.
Yeah, so I got 1 the first time and I got 3, so I have 4 in total now. And right now 2 of them are inked up, and one has that Sailor 14K nib that I talked about last time. The other one has a Platinum 3776 nib, and we talked just a few days ago about whether that nib will fit, because as we have just talked about in previous podcasts, Platinum's 376 nibs are kind of flat.
And they're a bit shorter too, right?
Yeah, possibly, yeah. But so I wasn't sure whether it would fit, but it was no problem whatsoever and no modifications needed. I just stuck the nib there and it just wrote. So I'm very happy with that. So now I have one with a Sailor nib, one with a Platinum nib, and I need to figure out what to do with the 2 remaining ones.
Excellent. And I've only done my modifications in 2 of them so far because I haven't had a lot of time. But I have one that I polished the finishing off so that it's raw brass, and then I have one in the original antique finish. So the one with the raw brass right now has my Wall Ever Sharp adjustable second generation, which I added flexed, so now it's a needlepoint flex. And then the other one, I have my Eureka Platinum Silver nib fit onto that. So I really like these because they're really hefty, and I think a lot of people think, demonstrators make the pen kind of look cheap. I don't think so. I think it's cool. I've said this to Alyssa as well. I think that, fountain pens are kind of like a machine. And for me, it's interesting to see how the mechanics of it works. And as always with these things like engineering, it's always the coolest when it's simple. And that's what really makes me appreciate the Moonmen, because the design is so simple and it's so elegant. So you don't have any of this rubbish that you have on Sailor's Rialo, for example, the piston system. It's just a really simple, no-nonsense way to make a pen. And Khuê, now you have it in your hands. What do you think about this pen?
For long, I decided to not look at them on Jacob and your Instagram picture, but now that I have in hand, I'm like, why didn't I bought it? Because it's a very nice weight first, and I don't have any demonstrator, so it's a very interesting pen, I guess.
Do you like the raw brass one or the antique finish?
It's difficult. I guess I like the raw golden.
Yeah, the brass.
Yeah, brass. Because I have a lot of accessories in brass, so you will join a collection more than
the antique finish.
The antique, but both are quite nice. They go very well together. Like,
all right, well, you know where to get some because Jacob, as we talked about offline, actually these pens have been pulled from all the stores.
Yeah, and that's always the challenge when you buy Chinese pens. A new model comes out and you usually find them for they can be a bit expensive at first on Etsy or eBay. You have some of the early sellers are trying to get some bigger margins, right? But then the question is, do you buy them at that price, or do you wait hoping to get a lower price in a few weeks? The danger of doing that is that the model might be gone, which quite often happens, right? And that may be what's happened here. So yeah, it's gone from eBay, it's gone from Etsy, it's gone from AliExpress. It might just be that they sold out of the first batch and they will come back, but that is not always what happens.
Yeah, and I really hope that these come back, because we talked about it last week. I think this is honestly the best pen that you can buy for value on the market now, with so many different nib options that you can put in because of this beautiful wet feed. I mean, Khuê, you're holding the one with the antique finish, and that's with the original Moonmen feed. And I think you can see, just based on your writing, that it's just extremely wet. And that's not even something that you get on Pilot pens. Pilot pens usually run dry. Platinum pens usually run dry. But with these feeds, you can really bring out the quality and the color of the ink. So in here, with this one in the antique finish, I have Tsukiyo, which is originally already a very wet ink. And then on the other one, I have Carbon Black. So Platinum's Carbon Black, which I've been using for some sketching.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah. So, unfortunate that it's out of the stores, but hopefully, we hope that it'll come back. But Jacob, you also, we met for the last 2 weeks consecutively, and we've been accumulating at Itoya, which is not really that common for us, because I think Itoya is kind of commercial and geared towards tourists. So a lot of actually pen enthusiasts, I feel, in the past few years, ever since they moved from Itoya K, I think a lot of pen enthusiasts have actually abandon Itoya as a destination. Instead, what I've heard, opting for places like Maruzen. Obviously, Shosaikan is always a classic. But why do you think we were so interested in Itoya?
Right. So, the fourth floor of Itoya's flagship store in Ginza is just dedicated to planners and refills. So as you said, we went there twice together and bought papers. And what I like about that floor is that you can find refills there that you just don't easily find anywhere else. So, for example, I got something called Spica Laid Bond. And some papers have this like ribbed texture finish to it, like OK Fools have it, Life L has it, and so on. That's apparently called laid paper. And that is a result of the paper making process, something about a dandy roll, whatever it was. But this Spica paper has this lovely texture. I often talk about how I like more textured paper. This is definitely textured paper. It's not perhaps the perfect paper for ink swabs, because if you pour a lot of ink on the paper, you might get a little bit of bleed through. But for normal writing, even with broad nibs, no problems whatsoever. And it's really nice to write with.
Yeah, so actually, I used to use laid paper when I was in university. When I was living in France, I used original Crown Mill, and that's really, really super textured paper. So I don't recommend that with, like, for example, a needlepoint. This laid is much more smooth, I think. Khuê, what do you think about it? You're writing with my Speakabon laid right now.
It's it's quite smooth. I think that the ink get really absorbed, but in on the verso you don't.
Yeah, there's not a lot of see through or bleed through.
Yeah, see through.
See through, yes,
but not bleed through. Yeah. No, it's I really like this kind of texture, like for letter writing or something like that. That give some classical style.
Did you use this paper when you were in Europe?
I think I have some notebooks who has this or letter set who has this type of texture.
Yeah, and it's definitely very nostalgic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we also found, which I didn't bring today, sorry, Khuê, you can't test that, but we also found some different cotton paper. So everybody, of course, knows about MD Cotton. But we found a brand called Haguruma Cotton. Can you tell us more about that, Jacob?
So I haven't found out that much yet. I think it's a company based in Osaka. I went to the Instagram feed and I went to their online store, and there's basically nothing about this paper. So I'm trying to find out more about the paper, but it's one of the most textured papers I've used. It's this kind of drawing paper. I would say it's probably ideal for watercolor and so on. But it is also quite fountain pen friendly, and they say that they claim that this is fountain pen friendly, and I agree that maybe not as much as Tommy River, but for broad nibs and so on, it works quite well, and it has this amazing texture to it.
Yeah, so apparently this is actually a really old company. It's more than 100 years old. And as you say, out of Osaka. And they seem to be, at least it seems to me that they're like a printing company, but they make paper. And I might be in trouble, Jacob, because turns out that their Tokyo store is right across from my office.
Oh.
Yeah, so I don't know if I can resist to going. But yeah, they turned 100 in 2018. And it seems like they make all sorts of paper products, including envelopes and stuff like this. So I'm actually really happy because it just goes to show that there's so many manufacturers and so much variety that I'm sure Haguruma was a very famous company and they did very well. Obviously, they wouldn't have lasted 100 years. But, I'd like to think that I am quite aware, and you as well, right? Quite aware of the industry. I think this is the first time that any of us have heard of Haguruma.
Yeah, but it might be one of those companies that are more business facing. If you go to their website, the impression you get is that you can order all kinds of custom envelopes and whatever for your business, right? Rather than selling refills directly to consumers.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you say, looking through their website, it's mostly looks like a lot of corporate orders, but I'm glad that they're venturing into this planner space because, as you and I both know, this is actually still quite a big space for the mass consumers. So we'll see. It could be interesting. Obviously we don't know how they're doing with COVID, but this is really good paper.
So another paper I got was Kokuyo's Chobo paper. So Kokuyo has two types of what they call high-grade papers. So one is called Mio, and the other one is Chobo. So Mio is the one that is easier to find. My local stationery store has Mio paper, for example. But Chobo is, for some reason, more rare. But apparently it has been around for a long time. It's over 80 years. And as the name suggests, it's actually originally meant for accounting, so for physical ledgers in books. And Kokuyo claimed that this was the first domestic paper that was deemed good enough for that purpose. It has got a slight texture, a little bit less than I normally prefer, but it takes ink exceptionally well, I think. And you tried it too, right, Chobo?
Yeah, so this paper is funny to me because when you touch it, it feels like one of those cheap, I don't know, kind of like magazine paper. It feels really coated, and it feels just like, what is this paper? But then when you write with it, it's actually quite nice. Yeah.
And then finally, at the other end of the ink friendliness spectrum, I got these Ashford refills. So
your favorite.
So we talked about Ashford before. So it's this Japanese company, I think it's Japanese, and they're known for high-end planners. And they got some quite expensive refillable planners. And they seem, just based on Instagram, that they are quite popular. But for some reason, the refill paper, it's surprisingly bad. I mean, we're talking moleskin bad. It was bleed through, feathering, and the ink just looks dull on this paper. And I'm honestly surprised that the paper was this bad.
Yeah, we talked about it offline, but the paper is bad when you start getting these like dark spots in the ink that aren't supposed to be there. It kind of like highlights where the fibers are like, touching each other. I don't know what it is, but Khuê, what's your experience with like a bad paper? How do you know when a paper is bad?
Good question. I didn't test any bad paper recently. Maybe because I stay in the same, always the same, Tomoe Midori and so on. But usually I would always try to find some smooth and kind of polish. Can we say that?
Yeah.
Paper at the texture, and then I won't be too surprised. But sometimes I hesitate with some, like when we went to Kakimori together, and we had this testing table. Some texture you feel it immediately that it won't goes well with the fountain pen inks. But I didn't. Yeah, sometimes with copy paper, like copy machine papers, you have some bad. But it's not the. If I have the choice, I won't take this kind of paper for use. Like it would be really like kind of last minute, and I don't have anything else.
Yeah.
Under my
For sure. And so that's our paper adventure. So we both have enough paper to last us a while. And I say this, I'm sure next time we're going to come back and say we got more paper. But Khuê, we got something interesting this year. And we're going to talk about this extensively later. But this year is Hobonichi's 20th anniversary. This year, next year, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But as we mentioned before, Pilot doesn't do a lot of collaborations unless they're the significant ones. The 5s, 10s, 20s. And for this year's 20th anniversary of Hobonichi, they made a capless. So that's the vanishing point in the West with Hobonichi. So, Khuê, you ordered one, and I have one in my hand. I got this from Mercari, so mine was obviously significantly more expensive than yours.
I got mine from Mercari too.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Because I got the capless alert on my Mercari. So every time there is, as you know, I'm looking for this limited edition they made for Itoya in 2017.
Right.
The blue one with the stardust.
You mentioned that.
Yeah, so I have this alert on my Mercari account, and so every time there is some capless, I got there's every day some capless, but when there is some special one, like this one, and I ordered it like 2 days ago, and I don't know, I got it for quite a good price, so I was like, and I didn't know about the 20th anniversary, because I didn't check at the moment.
Yes.
The Hobonichi website, and I lost I don't know which year, which month, which day we are anymore.
Yeah.
So I completely lost account of that. And so it's very funny that you bring yours, because mine must arrive today or tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah, because actually these were released like last week or something. Mm-hmm. So, we didn't, it's not like a long time, but they're all sold out. I think originally they retail for 23,000 Japanese yen. I got mine for about $300 US.
Okay.
And how much did you get yours? Because I think they I saw this also on Yahoo Auctions.
Yeah. And
this guy on Yahoo Auctions was trying to sell for like $550. So, 55,000 Japanese yen. And it was like, okay, I like it. It's really cool. But I don't know if it's like $500. Can I get you to $300?
I got it for this price.
Oh, okay. So Khuê got it for an insane price.
So
I'm not going to say it on the podcast, but it's insane.
And I was like I saw it. I said, I don't have a matte black capless, so let's go for it. I only have one contemporary, the one with Radon.
Yeah.
So I like it for traveling. I really like it because you don't lose your cap in the plane. Yeah, if we can travel again in the plane, in the train, or anywhere. So it's very practical to bring on the road with you. And I just saw it and I was like, it's cool. It's all black. There's this small sentence, and the price seems correct. So I just click buy, and then I go on internet and I was looking for it and I was like, I don't find anything about it. So where is it from? Which year? Whatever. But I saw higher price, like you said, on Yahoo, and I was like, okay, maybe either I made a really good deal, either like the guy just sold me a crapping pen. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, and so this pen is, as you say, completely matte black, except for the little rings at the connector. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to call it because it's not a cap. But yeah, the little bands are shiny, and it has a silver color. This is chrome clip, and then of course it has on the underside Pilot Japan, and then on the side that faces you it says "Only is not lonely." And I think this is one of the mottos of Hobonichi.
Hobonichi, yeah.
So that's pretty cool for Hobonichi fans and collectors. But I feel like this pen, somehow, it feels heavier than my other caplesses, because I got a capless green carbonesque as well. And I think there's definitely more weight.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah. But Khuê, you got another interesting capless at an incredible price as well. And I think you are a very disciplined buyer.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
I try at least.
I'm not very disciplined.
I'm poor now, so I'm trying to restrict my... I buy some when I can sell some.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't get... with a kid, you have to manage feeding him. You cannot just eat potato every day. As an adult, you can, but not for your baby.
Yeah. But you found this on Kingdom Note, on the website.
Yeah.
And this is a black, plastic black faceted capless, the vintage one where it looks like a steam car.
I think it's the FCN 500.
Yeah, this is I believe this is a 1974 model. These usually you can find on, let's say, eBay for around $300-ish US, I think.
Yeah.
How much did you get yours for?
So 17,000 yen, so
170.
170.
Yeah, $170, which is an insane price. So,
and I like the fact that it was Kingdom Note, because they revised the pen and they give you 1 year guarantee.
Yeah.
Warranty, sorry.
Yeah.
So you know that it's the
you know
pen,
it's good.
Yeah, exactly. And they will give you the if there is some scratch, they will explain everything on their page. So yeah, the same. I got an alert and I was like, no one bought it. It's not sold out, and I click it and yeah.
Yeah. And the good thing about Kingdom Note is that you get these points.
Yeah.
So that you can go buy inks with them.
Exactly. And it's why I add 2 inks in my order.
Yeah.
But it's true that prices on Kingdom Note, then the second-hand prices are surprisingly good at times, to the point where they are on par with or even better than Mercari. And as Khuê mentioned, it's less risky to buy from Kingdom Note.
Yeah, and they have a free delivery service, like shipping, and you can. It's very funny because if you pay by credit card, you have kind of small tax, like the credit card percent. But if you pay to the postman who deliver, it's the normal price. So it's in the same time, it's really like Japanese traditional way to just like give cash to the delivery man instead of. I don't know, for me it would be easier and more safer for them if I pay immediately by credit card, but I like that it's funny.
Yeah. Did you get anything else, Jacob?
I have some stuff incoming from Mercari, but it will be a few more days, it seems, so maybe in the next episode.
Yep. Okay, so next coming is our news segment, and we have a lot of news. So let's talk about our favorite oyaji, Mr. Mori, and his nibs, because he done goofed.
Yeah. So we tend to talk a lot about Mori-san in this podcast, and now he started selling nibs with a custom engraving. So first of all, there is the Jovo 14K nib with a turtle engraving. It's actually like suppon, like soft shell turtle. And it's the same engraving as on his or Wagner's 2017 limited edition platinum pens. And apparently those platinum pens, they sold out in an instant, according to him. So he thought that maybe the engraving was very popular, so he wants to sell some more nibs with the same engraving. But again, this time there are Jovo nibs. So I think he's going to sell them at the Wagner Autumn event next month. I don't think he's selling them anywhere in any other way right now. But then he also has these Amabie nibs, and we mentioned them last time, but now we've seen photos of them. So,
oh my god, it's a disaster.
Yeah, so my understanding is that they're going to be available in both steel and 14K, and the photos we saw were of the steel version, which has this black coating, maybe ruthenium, and then with an Amabia laser engraving. But as you are hinting at, there's a big problem with this nib. So you know how Jowo steel nibs, they tend to have these, flowering branches on the tine, this decoration on the tines. And apparently the Amabia illustration that Morrison sent to be engraved also had these flowering branches, but meant as a guide to show where this little Amabia illustration was meant to be engraved. But there was some misunderstanding, so this guide was engraved too. So now we have these flowering branches laser engraved, slightly misaligned on top of the stamped version.
I don't even know what to say about this because it's so ridiculous. It's absurd. I mean, how do you do that? I don't know. I mean, Khuê, look at this.
But apparently it's still selling. So he did an update on his blog and say that they're selling well.
Well,
I think people will try everything to be safe.
Good for him. Yeah, good for him. But I hope that the 14K version won't have it, because if it does, it's a disaster.
But at least Jowo's regular 14K nibs, they don't have this like flowering branches. That is a steel thing, as far as I know.
Yeah, but they have a line.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
they have
the engraving over the line.
Yeah.
It could be another disaster.
Yeah, it would be worse. It would be even worse. Yeah, oh my god. Okay. So that's a disaster. But also another thing that I heard recently is that is a disaster is Platinum's QC. Their quality control apparently is really, really terrible. And we've not really talked a lot about Platinum on the show because, for example, I don't really own any Platinum pens for myself. But if you listen to, let's say, like the Pen Addict, you'll know that Mike has this Platinum Galaxy where the tipping, one of the tipping just fell off.
Yeah.
And this is not so uncommon. Scrolling on Instagram, I believe a lot of other people also have had huge issues with Platinum. I know, for example, when I ground Platinums, it was a big problem because actually the Platinum tipping was so soft that it was basically, it just came off super, super quickly. And it was not really conducive for me to grind. And I think one of the reasons maybe why that is because they grind it by hand at Nakaya, right? But even so, I think that, for this to happen, there must be some big issues with Platinum. And I'm not the only one to have issues, because now looking on Instagram, right, at Penfiend, she writes that her Platinum 3776 with a UEF nib had lost its right tine tip. Wow. So apparently this is common with Platinum. And I've heard other stories as well. So I was wondering why. And in my conversations with the retailer here, we were talking about prices, and then we got to talking about the cheaper gold nibs, and I was saying that I really don't like Platinum nibs because I think the quality is really bad, and I was showing the retailer the crack or the scratch on the barrels, and her response to me was, well, it's because it's Platinum. They're not that great as a manufacturer. I was like, ouch. Wait, what? So apparently she told me that Platinum has just one nib person in their production, and this nib person is somebody that they hired about 5-6 years ago, who previously had no experience with nibs, And this nib person told them that Platinum just sticks their tipping onto the nib, and then they stick all of these nibs, so like a huge batch together, and they clean them all together. So you're likely sometimes even to see scratches on Platinum's nibs because they're not treated very well in the processing. And then on top of that, they don't check any of their pens. So all of their pens are just tipped, gone. So my understanding is that their manufacturing process must be a lot better than Sailor, because they don't check any pens, and apparently, some of them work.
Right.
But what surprised me is also that they don't hand finish their grinds either. So it's just boom, stuck on, out the door you go. So that's really surprising to me because, Japan is known for having good QC, but it seems that, even the big names cut corners. And apparently Platinum is one of them. So that's why you might see a lot of flaws in the finishes in Platinum. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Platinum has done a great job in terms of their recent limited editions. The Shion, I think, was well received by a lot of people. Not as well received as Roka, but still pretty good. Of course, the Nakaya nibs that are hand finished are well received, and again, they've been around for 100 years, so they must be doing something right. It still surprises me that they're okay with kind of this shoddy QC work, and at least now they have one nib person there. We'll see how it goes, but I'm very wary now of Platinum.
So this ties back to something that's again go back to Morrison, what he's writing about. So as we know, he's selling this Wagner commission 3776 pens every once in a while, and he's always writing about how he needs to inspect them. He calls them like Ari no Mama. He's basically not like doing any grind, but he's inspecting each and every one to make sure that they are okay. And if they're not okay, he might be just fixing the tines. And he says that is needed. Now, he has his own angle. I mean, he's interested in, offering nib services, but he says that is necessary. But I think he also wrote that, like, in general, like statistically, the medium nibs tend to have the least of the problems.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. What surprises me is that because they have so much variety in terms of their nibs, that's why I'm surprised that they don't at least do a spot check of some of the nibs, right? I mean, hand finished or not, that surprises me. Yeah, but Mori's he calls him his chose, his adjustments. Not gonna comment on that.
We save that for a different episode. Yeah.
Okay. So now I want to move on to our main topic, which is actually why I'm really, really interested in having you here, Khuê, because I think, Jacob, do you journal?
I have tried on a few occasions, but I don't do it regularly.
Yeah, but Khuê, do you journal?
Yeah.
So you, I think, out of the local group, you're the one that really is in the hobby. I'd say also a big part of that is journaling, right?
Yes.
Do you use Hobonichi?
Yes.
First, I want to ask you, what's the difference between Hobonichi and Jibun Techo?
I never use Jibun Techo. I follow them on Instagram, and I visit their is it Think and Tank, right? No, Think and they're released by this brand
Kokyo.
Kokyo, is it?
Yeah, they're Kokyo.
And they have this showroom in Harajuku, right?
I think so. Yeah.
I really like the I tried as I use traveler notebooks and Hobonichi. I try to stay in with these two brand.
So MD, is that?
Yeah, MD is for Traveler Notebook, yeah. And Tomori River for Hobonichi. Because I won't have time to have more journal. Yeah, as a mom, I don't have as much time for journaling anymore. So I can say that this year, especially this year, my Hobonichi has been a little bit left on the side. So I will journal on it. It's more a private diary. So I will journal if something really bother me, or with all the news, what's happening in the world. So some days I will really write about it, and some day I will just don't have the energy at all. And in my traveler notebook, I'm more consistent. It's more my daily journal and writing when we go out, what we are doing, and more like stuff like that. But I really like what I like about Hobonichi is this. I use the original, the Teco one, like the planner one, the English version, so it's named planner. The day by day journal, and I use, since last year, I have the 5 years Hobonichi, which is really interesting. Like now it's the first year, so you just feel like it's like you have the same days over the 5 years on the same page. So I think it would be very nice to look back in 5 years.
Okay, I didn't know that's how they worked.
Yeah,
that's
they
cool.
have two versions. So I have the 5 years one, and I bought it because it was starting 2020, and I was like, yeah, it's nice to have 2020 until 2024. If I knew that 2020 will be as messed up, I would maybe wait for next year.
So you have a blank journal because you're not going out?
No, I still write about like daily, highlight of my son, first step and stuff like this, first word, and so it's still positive inside. I don't want to just look at bad news every day and stuff like that. So I try to keep it like a positive yearly journal, and I hope that in 5 years when I look back, there will be some nice coincidence or comparison or stuff like that. And both are really, both use the same papers, are quite light. Like it's a thick book, but as it's Tomori River, it's quite compact. I like the fact that it's A6, A6 size.
So it's small.
Yeah, it's like this.
Yeah.
A6, postcard, a bit bigger than postcard size. And so it's quite kind of a small journal book. And as I use it for I started in 2014 with Hobonichi. I lost one. Yeah, our house has been robbed. So
they took your Hobonichi.
Yeah, they took my bag. No, don't laugh about it. It was really sad. They took my working bag, which has my computer and my Hobonichi inside, and my journal, everything inside. So I was just really angry. So I lost my first one, and then so then it's nice because they all have the same black cover with this key, or you can have some limited edition. Sometimes this other golden logo. But it's nice to have them all together. And of course, when they release the new, like for September, they will release the new line. It's kind of hunting a process to got some now are even on lottery, so like some very expensive or so like that. You are not even sure to get it, but it's really popular, and I think as they ship internationally too, it got really I remember some of my pen pal or friend texting me like, do you think Japan will still ship overseas with this pandemic? And if not, can I order to your address? Because then I got they have an original packaging. So if you have every year collect, you have the same box in different color with the year. And it's kind of, they make it, they're really good in marketing and they associate with Sonia Park, the designer, the head designer of Art and Science, this very chic shop in Tokyo, who has like clothes and living accessories, but quite really high luxury level. And she's the designer for years. So she designed she collaborated in the design of the original Hobonichi.
So that really segues greatly into my question actually. What is the draw for you to Hobonichi and the Traveler's Notebook? Because there's so many planners out there, especially in Japan. We have so much choice. You said you don't use Jibun Techo, but even like a lot of different companies all around. I mean, Jivan Tech was not even the only planner
No,
that
no. They
not
are really
that
nice.
series.
They are really nice. I hesitate a long time, but the same. I think what both of the brand are really good is kind of to release limited edition, release nice partenariat. What's it?
Accessories.
No, partenariat when
Partners,
collaboration.
partnerships.
Night collaboration with the like local artists and some international, and having like building this on Instagram, building this kind of community, like you belong to not to a brand but to a community, to an idea, to a way of traveling, of living, like kind of so you get attached to it. It's, I don't know, a lot of people who, some people will start using it and it won't fit their needs, so maybe after 1 year they will stop. But I guess if you did at least 2 years with one brand, I think you will continue. You want to, at one time, you want to look back and have this, either a box or a shelf, and having this history of your, as a journal, like as someone who who write in a journal, kind of history of some part of your life or something, and you want to keep in the same. It's quite nice. It's quite aesthetic too.
It's funny because when I was working at a SaaS company, this is exactly what we do. If your client only is with you for 1 year, probably 80% of them won't renew. But once they get to the second year, they can't stop using you because you have all their data.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting that you mentioned this, because it just shows that these business concepts can be used across industries. And then I think on top of that, what I think is interesting is that, when you choose a brand, you said that you want to feel part of this community in terms of Hobonichi. And what you said really gave me a realization that I think Western brands are very, very focused when they do collaborations. They want to collaborate with the biggest, the best, the most well-known, blah, 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 blah. But a lot of Japanese companies, they're taking the opposite direction, where they collaborate with somebody really niche, somebody really unknown, maybe, but they try to help you discover something that you might not have known about.
And I guess one of the strong point of Hobonichi, when they released this in September, the new line, they have so much choice. Like, you don't need one cover per year. Like, you have one cover for life, not for life, but at least you can keep the same cover for many years. But people will still look, like, I still look at them, and I will still thinking, oh, do I need a new cover? No, of course not. I don't need it. But as they have a huge collection and having so many collaboration, you cannot, 1 week ago, I forgot that we were soon in September. Like, the summer is so long here. I was like, we're still in July. And one of my pen pal texted me and said, have you seen the new, the lineup? And I was like, already? And she said, yeah, they will release next week. And I was, no, I didn't have a look. And I said, okay, let's go and have a look. And I was like, so many new collaborations, so many colors, so many texture. I love leather cover. So I went directly to the art and science one. Luckily for me, I don't like the clip, how they close it this year with this metal clip. So I was like, no, I don't need a new cover. I already have 3 covers of Hobonichi. I rotate them during the year, but still, 3 covers is more than enough. But they are really good. And they, if you order by the website, this is the plus. You can buy Hobonichi in Loft in Tokyo. You can buy it at their shop in close to Harajuku.
Yeah, you can buy it anywhere here.
Yeah, a lot of places. But if you buy on their website or in their shop, which is kind of a little bit far from a subway station, you have to walk 15 minutes something. You got a little plus. You got kind of limited edition pen plus something. Last year was the paperweight in the shape of the bear. Metal paperweight, but they have this pen every year released with the year. So if you always order by their website or by their shop, you will have this collection of pen too, like roller pen. so this is a plus too, because people want to order directly there to get the, and on Mercari, if you look like after once people will get their shipment,
They start selling these.
They will start selling it like it's for free usually. If you order, at least if you order one planner, you get this. If you order accessory, they won't join it. And people will sell this like for crazy price. No, not like hundreds of dollars, but at least 20, 30, some $50. And it's just like, come on, it's a gift that they... But because it's limited, because it's the year, it's crazy.
Yeah, some of those new colors, they sell out in an instant, right? So the only chance you have is second-hand markets.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want to get into too much detail about how they organize the release dates because I think it's all a bit confusing unless you go to the website. So just go to the website. But we're on the website right now, and there are just so many covers, actually. I think they must make most of their money on the covers rather than the books. Speaking of then the covers, how do you decide which cover that you wanted? Which... You said you have the arts and sciences, but when you look at this lineup, what's your impression?
I guess they try to aim for every type of taste and market, like from the student, girly or more geeky person to someone who young worker, young business people to. Shufu, mother, housewife, and they really try to. They have like this huge collaboration with manga artists with Minna Peronen, this Japanese designer who make this Swedish Scandinavian style clothes and fabrics, a little bit like Marimekko and stuff like that. So they have a very at the difference with Traveler Notebooks, who has only the leather cover. In different colors, but a very, very plain, basic leather cover, and you can customize with stem, with anything that you want to do. Hobonichi choose the opposite direction, so they have hundreds of covers, some in plastic, some in fabric, some in leather, and they have many lines. I used the planner, the Teco version, but they have the weekend version with slimmer. Week by weeks, and they have another bigger A5 version. I don't remember all their name.
Yeah, I think there's one that's like day free planner.
Yeah, they have the day free since last year. They
original. Yeah. So there's a ton.
Yeah. So at least 4 and 4 type, and then I don't know, so many cover for each type. And people usually this one is I don't like the clip.
No, I love this one. This is Arts and Sciences.
But one more thing about Art and Science. So Art and Science released two colors this year. Sometimes 3, but this year only 2 colors for Hobonichi website. But, and not a lot of people know about it, Art and Science released their own one on their website. Usually another color, but the same design and another texture of leather. But you can find it only in the Art and Science shops.
But this is just an A5 book, right? So I can fit any A5 book in it.
Yeah, exactly.
You might have to get one.
Yeah, but so check the Art and Science website. It's a camel a little bit.
Okay. Oh, this is a A6 size. So not for me.
A6. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the Teco original is A6.
Okay.
What else can I say?
I mean,
how do I choose a cover? I will try to limit. I love leather, so I will try to not look at the other one. But I know that I like the Minna Peronen style, so I often just have a look and say, no, I don't need. But they have a very nice kind of romantic butterfly or little flowers and stuff like that.
Yeah, when I look at this lineup, I see a lot of products that are geared towards fandoms.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of Sesame Street that I'm seeing.
Astro Boy.
Yeah, Astro Boy. And we talked about this a bit in the previous podcast, but actually the founder of Hobonichi, Itoi-san, he was involved and he was the creator of this video game Mother. And that's why you see so many Mother covers in the lineup. So in the West, this is the game known as Earthbound. So if you play like Smash Brothers, you'll know Lucas and these characters. They feature heavily in the Hobonichi lineup. I think almost every year. So that's an interesting kind of connection that they have with Nintendo. They get a lot of nice licensing deals with Nintendo, and that's always something that's interesting. Just as a tidbit. I'm trying to get into journaling. I'm interested in like productivity journaling. Now, I've always been a not journaling person. My mother used a journal every day when she was working full time when I was younger. So she used it, every day. She was super organized. She had things, organized by the hour. Everything she needed to do was written down in her journal. Me, never touched a journal. I don't even use my, digital
Your pen?
journals. No, really. Like, I'll put stuff on my digital calendar and then I won't look at it because I'm somebody who schedules in my head and I don't put it on paper, which is really bad because,
because it's a good excuse to use all your pen and ink.
Yeah.
That's why I try to journal. It's like, if not, I I don't write letters every day because you don't get letters every day. And I don't know, for letters, I need some inspiration or like a good mood to answer some letters. So it will be like a whole afternoon or something like that. But journaling is the good excuse to at least take 15 minutes at the end of the day or in the morning before starting your day to just write down some, your plans, what you need to do, what you need to remember. And it's a good excuse to use your pen, like for me at least.
See, the thing with me is that like, so I've started to create this system, which I have here. I'll show you now quick. But for me, the main issue is that, I am very, let's say, held up on the format. So I want to make something of my own. And here I'm just showing Khuê this thing that I made. I don't know how long I can keep this up because it's very like time consuming to draw out the format. So, for somebody who doesn't journal like me, Khuê, what's your recommendation to Jacob and I? How can we start doing this? And what do you think? We should? What kind of mindset do you think we should have if we start? I don't know, Jacob, if you're gonna start.
I think first you have to understand what you really like to do and need. Like some people will like a journal to write like a diary. So every night before going to bed, taking half an hour for yourself and write down your day, like everything from bad to good news. And some people try to journal more, not minimalist because I don't want it to seem negative, but to use it like writing, I don't know, 3 sentences, like something like, what is the 3 good things that happened to you? Like kind of positive journal to keep a track of, today, I don't know, someone in the subway gave me some cookies because I gave him my seat or something like that. Just to keep, I think it's kind of process to relax. Like for me, it's really relaxing to write a journal. It's like watching a movie or taking a walk, like something is a time for myself, silent, not having like having the baby who's sleeping and like something like just for myself and trying to enjoy a little bit of face-to-face, like face-to-journal time. And it's really, you can find a lot of website, like one of the, I follow, this shop in California, Baumkuchen. They have this monthly newsletters, and there's a lot of people who contributors, and one of them is Trina, who teach about writing, and she's a very good Instagram, and you can check her website about what journal can brings you, what journaling can bring you. And it's really interesting because some people use journaling to evacuate bad
thoughts,
feelings, thought, what's happening in the world right now. I think a lot of us struggle with this in the same time, the pandemic, in the same time, what's going on in the US and in the rest of the world. So it's a good way to, distress, or at least not keep everything inside yourself.
So would you say that a easy way for somebody, maybe like, Jacob and I, we don't journal at all. Would you say a good way to start is to just buy a journal with a nice format and then just, set a goal? Let's say for this journal, write 3 things that I enjoyed doing today.
Exactly.
And then just doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Start like this. And then after a while, maybe you feel more comfortable and you will be more open with your journal too, because it's kind of private relation. You can do whatever you want. Your journal will be always happy.
Yeah.
You can talk to your journal. You can complain. It's a lot of different approach. And if you look a little, I will send you some link you can join on the podcast. People use it in every way. Or like I used to have a dream journal. Like I would write every morning, like really first thing in the morning, what I remember from my dream. And this kind of, it's an interesting way too. Or you can have I have not a journal, but I have a monthly letter to my son. So every month on his day, I will write him a letter in a book. So later he can, in the same time, it's not only love letters, but I explain to him what's happened the last month, what's going on in the world, and this kind of history. What did he achieve himself, or what he destroy every day?
So it's something he'll really appreciate when he's like 20, 25.
Yeah. And my mother used to keep just a baby diary, so it's more like the food, the step, the stuff like that. But sometimes she will say, she says this word today, and it's really interesting for me to look at it. It's, So I think you have like every excuse is good to start a journal. Then just find the good format. And as fountain pen lovers, both of you, I'm sure that one of the excuses could be just scribble. Yeah, some people just draw and scribble. I'll say. Yeah. Inside, you don't need to write. Like in my Hobonichi, I don't write every day. Sometimes I don't have anything to say, so I will just write a quote that I like from a movie, from a song, just because I can use some pen, some inks, and that's it. And some pages are blank, and it's okay.
So it's okay to, you don't have to fear the blanks.
No. And I have some journal that I start and I never finish, and I think I'm not the only one. Like sometimes you have some period you just don't go back to this journal. You keep, because I always keeping track on my traveler notebooks, for example. And years after I come back and the blank page, I will use them to do watercolor or sticking some picture. It's okay. It's personal.
But that was the main problem I had when I used my Hobonichi before. And some days I had nothing to say. Some days I could only master 2 lines. Other days I wanted to write 3 pages.
But then maybe the format of the day by day is too big, and you can start with a week. Like kind of weekly one where you have the 7 days on a page and the other page is blank, which is
that's
nice.
What I need.
Because so there is the Hobonichi weekly like this, or the traveler notebook, which is horizontal one, which is really nice because then you can the day you have more to say, you use the blank page, and the day you have nothing to say, but you just put some stickers on the day.
Or you need to get more notebooks and more journals. Then, Jacob, I know you use your pens on a daily basis to write something and post on stories or something. So you can do that on your journal.
Yeah.
And then, just a little thing. And then you'll have a way to see through the year how you categorized. It's like a categorized version of what you posted on stories.
I think this is why people journal is like, you don't remember everything that happened in your life, of course. But when you go back to your journal, it's really nostalgic, and sometimes you forgot what you did last month. So you're just like, okay, when was the day we met?
I mean, I forgot what I did yesterday.
Yeah, of course. So we and in this time of kind of strange time where we don't have a normal schedule and stuff like that, I think it's quite good to have this constant thing that you can come back when you need, when you have time. So for me, it's really a good therapy.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that that we asked you to join our session today because, I don't think Jacob and I don't think we would even be able to, have all this content just because we're not journalists. But, you've really inspired me. Maybe now I need to go out and buy a Hobonichi with this arts and sciences, maybe even an A6. Oh my goodness. But,
you can still resell the cover on Mercury.
that's true. I can sell it next year too.
Yeah.
Limited edition.
Yeah.
20th year anniversary edition.
Of course. And though you're laughing, but some cover from the previous year, not the expensive one, but the normal fabrics one, they are selling like double price because it was limited edition. It was from 2015. People are still looking for it. And they're just, even on eBay, they're just getting crazy. And so you can still resell it. There's no string attached.
All right. So, that was super informative, and now I'm super inspired. Maybe I need to go to Itoya later. But now getting back to pens, we noticed that in Japan, I think especially starting last year, this year, there's now a trend of rebranding Chinese pens into the market.
Yeah, so there's an interesting case here with High Tide. So first of all, High Tide is a Japanese company. I think it's based in Fukuoka, and they make various stationery items and interior goods. So they got paper clips, rollerballs, washi tapes, planners, and more. And they recently released a fountain pen called Attache, I think, and it's a very pretty pocket pen. Yeah.
Attache.
Very pretty pocket pen available in like 3 acrylics, and it's got what it looks like a Jovo number 5 nib. I'm basing that just on these, the flowering branches, which look very Jovo-like. But what's interesting about this pen is that around the same time, a Chinese pen called Moonmen N8 was released, and Moonmen N8 looks almost exactly the same as this High Tide pen. The only difference is there's some engraving on the finial, and then the nib is on the Chinese pen is a Moonman nib instead of a Jovo nib. So I don't know if the High Tide one is a rebranded Moonman, or if it's the case that High Tide actually designed this pen, sent it for manufacturing in China, and then maybe the manufacturer sold the design to Moonman or Shanghai Jinjiang. I don't know what happened there, but they are remarkably similar. Do you have any theories on what may have happened here?
Yeah, so I think that we always give the Chinese companies some flack about, your pens are just copies of existing designs, blah 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 blah. Actually, I wrote I think last week or 2 weeks ago an article on my website about the Sailor Realo being essentially a copy of the Aurora 88. Actually, you know what? Aurora, the official Instagram, liked my Instagram post about that, so I think they also agree with me that the Sailor Realo is a copy. I don't think we need to fear these copies. I think copying, imitation, and iteration is what brings technology forward. So copying is not that big of a deal. To me, obviously, intellectual property is huge. I wouldn't want people to just, rip my work off. But a lot of times with these Chinese copies, they're interestingly making stuff that is no longer on the market. So that's what we see with the new Mont Blanc copies. That they're making something that's no longer produced. Obviously, Mont Blanc's still selling them in the stores. Or they're iterating it somehow, like the Moonmen T1 that we talk about. A lot of people compare it to Kaweco, a lot of people compare it to Twisby, a lot of people compare it to Fire Riding International. I would argue that it's none of these things, because it's taking the best and really combining them into a product that people want to use. This signals to me, though, that Chinese pen makers are really getting to that next level when pen companies want to OEM stuff to Chinese companies now. The new Estabrook is basically an OEM of a Taiwanese pen. I think Fine Writing makes them. I'm not sure. But basically that's a copied pen as well, the new Estabrook. The only innovation that they have is their vintage nib collar that you can swap out. But this happens, and I think that it's actually interesting that you have these Chinese companies who come out with products at an affordable price, and then, now we're saying rebranding, obviously, High Tide rebranding Moonmen, that's an interesting move, because then they're positioning it at an even higher price point. I wonder if that will push the Chinese brands into a higher price point as well, following what their rebranded pens will sell. I'm glad, though, that they're not rebranding some random Jinhao, because I think the Jinhao pens, the qualities are just generally not as good as Moonmen. I think Moonmen's qualities are easily the best out of China right now, with Pen BBS.
But you see a lot of rebranded Jinhaos in Japan. We talked a lot before about this Fonte pen, but in addition to that, I think Family Mart or some of the convenience stores, they sell a rebranded Jinhao like 750 or 450, and they call it something else, and it's like 2,000 yen.
Yeah, which is why exactly that I'm glad to see Moonmen here, because it shows an evolution of the market, rather than just, I'm gonna random Chinese pen and sell in my store. They're actually going for something that's nice, that's not the generic Jinhao.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Okay, any thoughts on this?
They're cute.
That's true.
Nice.
It's a very nice looking pen.
This seems really cute.
It looks like a Helico, actually.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, way cheaper, of course, but this seems quite nice. Yeah. I think it's good to have them, to try them. This seems like with the cap on, quite average size, and the names attaché, French names like attached to, like attaché. I think attaché case and stuff.
It's like the way that I would use it is somebody who's attached to a diplomatic mission.
Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting. And I like that it's very pretty, and that because it's a size 5 nib, lots of vintage nibs will fit on it.
Yeah, good. And the price is really affordable, right?
Yep, $30.
Yeah.
And then lastly, this is something that personally I'm not so interested in buying, but I know that you're interested in it for the novelty, and I'm sure Khuê, you're interested in this for the glitter. So let's talk about this. So Hase is a glass pen company, and we are talking about this trend in the glass pens, and people are starting to use glass pens, moving away from fountain pens. But Tono Limbs is making inks for both. Jacob, what is their latest release out of their 10 releases per week?
Yeah, first of all, it's very hard to keep up with the Tono Limbs releases, because they're releasing a lot from one week to another. Yeah, this is the new what's it called Crystal line, and it's a dye-based ink, but there's some metal powder in it.
So it's actually metal powder, right? It's not like most shimmers are done with like mica powder. I don't know how to pronounce it. Yeah, it says metal powder. So, will you be getting any of these?
I think so. Like I discovered like 2 days ago that they released so many new line. This one and the kaleidoscope one.
Yeah.
I think they have some.
The kaleidoscope. I saw that at Okamoto the other day. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I saw that you and Alicia when I was like, I need to go too.
So I just met her. Like, I was like, I wasn't going to go on that day.
Yeah.
And then I said, you know what? Let's stop by. And then she was there.
Oh, but she was already there the day
Yeah,
before.
because I saw her stories the day before she went. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, you know, I'm inspired by this. Let's go. And then, oh, you know, who do I see?
Are you living there, Alicia? Let us know. That they released so many new inks and line. I was like lost. I just went to their Instagram page yesterday, and I was like, oh my, there's so many new stuff going on. And I think this line is especially for glass pen, right?
Glass pens
they
and dip
don't,
pens.
Yeah, it's not ink for fountain pen. I think they will get a little bit stuck in your pen. So it seems really nice. Like I would like to try them. I hope they're. I guess there will be at Ignuma, so we can at least test some.
So I want to try them just to put them in fountain pens.
Ah, yeah, but like cheap one, right?
I don't know if I own any cheap pens, but maybe in some sailor I have, you know, extra feeds, and
Okay.
so it doesn't really matter.
But I think that's
My
what Alessa did, right? So she recently reviewed one of those Tone and Limbs inks for glass pens, and she inked up a Preppy.
Yeah, Preppy is perfect for this kind of ink.
But that doesn't have the metal
Right.
shimmers, right? What I'm worried about is the metal scratching the underside of the nib.
That's true.
Need to test.
Yeah, so maybe with some random sailor. Who knows?
You have a lot of those.
But yeah. All right, so I think that's pretty much all the news that we have today. Anything else that you want to add?
I think that's pretty much it, yeah, in terms of news.
All right, so we'll just answer one Q&A today because we as usual have gone on for far too long. But we have a question today from Urban from Fountain Pen Companion, and Urban asks, so he asks, are there any other pocket notebooks apart from the Kokuyo sketchbook that we should know about? Also, is it as good as everybody says it is? So thank you, Urban, for your question. I'm not a pocket notebook guy. Khuê, are you a pocket notebook girl?
No, I have some, but I never use them. I used to always have one small in my bag, but finally I never use them.
You want to sit down and write.
Yeah, exactly. Or if I have one, when I was a student, I would write or sketch on the road, and then I would write like it was before Google Maps and stuff like that. I would write all my
Directions.
traffic direction and so like that where I need to change trains. So I would really use it for fast or not really notes I will keep.
Okay, but now the phone has replaced it.
Yeah, exactly.
But Jacob, you are a huge pocket notebook.
So I want to start by just talking about the notebook that Urban mentioned. So I believe he refers to Kokuyo's Sokuryo Yacho field notebook, and this is a green pocket-size hardcover notebook that's been around for like over 60 years. It was originally meant for like civil engineers out in the field, so it's very sturdy. And there are 3 basic versions of this notebook. So 2 of them have these special purpose grids. They're called like level and transit, and they're really meant for civil engineers. They're not really that useful for other purposes. But then there's a third one, and this is what he's talking about. There's a third one with a regular grid called a sketchbook, and that is probably the most popular one, and the one you most likely to find outside Japan. And I think actually, if I remember correctly, I think you can buy a branded version on Pen Addict. I think Brad has a version of that. So
Yeah,
and there are all kinds of other special editions Sokuryo Yacho notebooks. There are those with Disney characters, there are waterproof special editions, there are those with bright and colorful ones, colorful covers and so on. And this is quite a classic notebook. But it's not fountain pen friendly. I bought one recently to test, and there was just a lot of bleed through. But that's fine, right?
Of course,
because it's not trying to be fountain pen friendly. If you're looking at Kokuyo's website, the product photography, there's a lot of pencils and ballpoint. That's really what it's meant for. So then, what if you want a fountain pen friendly Japanese pocket notebook? Well, all the major Japanese brands have good pocket notebooks in around A6 size. You got Tsubame, Apika, Kokuyo, Life.
But wait. You said A6 though, but how would you define a pocket notebook? Because for me, A6 doesn't fit in my pocket.
Depends on how you defined it. Around A6, you can even get A7.
A6? You can get that in Tomoe River.
Yes. But I think A6 is a fairly common size. It depends on which pocket you're referring to. But but you can...
The pocket in my bag.
But for A6, you have all the big brands, again, like Tsubame, Apika, Kokuyo, Life, Midori. And you mentioned Tomoe River as well. So we're spoiled for choice there. And some of them...
Right.
Some of them have even smaller A7, which is... And other like specialized like memo sizes that if you have very small pockets. So
yeah, there is this American brand Field
Notes.
Field Notes. Moleskine has a lot, but it's not fountain pen friendly. But if you sketch like with the pencil or ball pen, it's really practical, like very thin.
Yeah.
You can fold it a bit and.
AOC uses Field Notes. I saw on her Instagram story. Mm-hmm. But what if I don't like A6 because there are different sizes, right? That are, I would say, maybe unique to Japan. And you have one like your plotter. I think you have in the Bible size.
Yeah, they're a bit bigger actually. But Bible size is a bit bigger. There's even a smaller one called the Narrow. I can't remember exactly that one, but that ties into something else that I wanted to sort of mention here. So there is a very small planner format in Japan, and this is not quite pocketable because they're a bit thick, but there's this very small micro 5 or M5 size planners that have just exploded in popularity recently, and they're even smaller than A6, and you see them a lot on Instagram. You see them using these micro planners for like to catalog their inks and so on, and you can buy all kinds of refills in this very small M5 size that is ink friendly. So that is, if you have big enough pockets, then that could be an option.
Yeah, and I think for me, maybe if I were to get into this, I would try to go for the plotter, the mini size. I think the mini size is. You mentioned the narrow size, right? I think so. The Bible size is smaller than the A6. The narrow size is like a slim version of the Bible size, and then the mini is even smaller than that. So that would be really like a true pocket-sized notebook, but it's not a notebook. It's like a as we say, a system techo, it's a system journal. And I like that you can remove the pages.
Yes.
And with the plotters, they mostly lie flat. So that's really good. So you can have your pick of refills as well. You can make your own refills. So that's something that probably I would go for.
I'm not sure plotter is available outside Japan, but maybe you can order them from Amazon.
They're not. I don't think they're available on Amazon either. So you have to buy in Japan. But if you know somebody in Japan to buy it, they're a bit pricey. But it's a plotter you can use. It's a cover you use for, as you say, Khuê, 5 years, 10 years, even though now in my household I have 2. I bought one for my girlfriend's mother as well. So I'm going to buy one for my mother. Now I'm going to have 4.
To go back to what is probably looking for in this question, if you just go to your local stationery store or sometimes even convenience store, you have this whole section for pocket-sized notebooks in various, I would say A6 or smaller. And that's where you have all of the major brands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not all of them are fountain pen friendly, but they're so cheap that just try it. All right, so I think that wraps up the episode. Jacob, anything that you want to shout out? Khuê, anybody you want to highlight?
Yeah, I would say hello to Julie in New Zealand, because she's one of my pen pal who make me look at the Hobonichi lineup on time.
Oh, and her feed is just fantastic. I think this is one of my favorite feeds. She does these awesome ink swabs. So everybody, if you're not already following her, go follow her at Juliejjeon. That's Juliejjeon, JJULIEJJEON. We'll keep it in the show notes. She does fantastic journaling, fantastic ink swatches. So go
And
check
her
her
handwriting
out.
is
She's
amazing.
Yeah, she
Oh,
has
yeah.
a
Oof.
wonderful handwriting.
Yeah, just perfect. I mean, everything about this grid is fantastic. You gotta go follow her.
And I would like to shout out to Connie, Peppercorn Art in Australia. She's a very artistry. Like she made her own watercolor set that she sell on her Instagram, on her website, and she has a very nice journaling. Like she keep journaling in her Hobonichi every day, and she paint and very nice.
Yeah. So I heard about her, and this is my shout out on another podcast, The Stationary Cafe.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're more journaling focused, and they use fountain pens as well, but they're much more journaling focused and general
stationary focus.
general stationary focused. But yeah, again, this is an incredible spread, and if you are interested in getting into journaling yourself, definitely go listen to that podcast as well. They're great. They have lots of tips. And yeah, they have lots of resources to follow as well.
And I want to say thank you to Brad and Mike for mentioning our podcast again this week.
Yes, thank you, Brad and Mike. Emergency episode 2. One of the things when I heard the podcast was, we kind of alluded to this as well when they said, basically it's a news about discontinuation. Spoiler, none of these models are things that you care about. I think that just hits everything, that's just, right on the nail.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, thank you, Brad, Mike. We really appreciate your support. And yeah. Anything else?
That's it for me.
All right. So that's a wrap for this week's episode. My request to all of you listeners, if you've listened and made it so far, we are doing this basically out of our passion and out of our free time. And there is no Patreon yet. Hopefully we will get that set up. But it does take a lot of money and a lot of time to set up and run a podcast, make a podcast. So while we don't have a Patreon set up, there is one way that you can pay us. And the way that you pay us is by talking about us and telling your friends, telling your family members, telling somebody who loves stationery, or telling somebody who just, has a planner at work and plans out their day. It would really mean a lot to us because that's just the way that, these things work. Podcast works through the metrics, you telling a friend who will tell another friend and keep the word going. That's really something that's going to help us motivate us to continue to put out episodes and, just generally make our content better because you always come out with some interesting questions like this question that Urban had about pocket notebooks. So if you like the content that we put out, rate, subscribe, review, tell a friend, tell a family member, tell somebody at your work who uses a planner. But that's so that's a request from me. And with that, that's been the episode. And you can find me on my website at tokyostationpens.com. You can find me on Instagram at tokyostationpens and on Twitter at tokyostationmnh.
And you can find me on Instagram as Foodafan and on Twitter also as Foodafan and my blog at foodafan.com.
So thanks again, Jacob and CY, for having me as a guest. And you can find me on Instagram at MiraiCat. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.